Welcome to the virtual reading fair day 14, 2020. My name is Harry Chia, and I am 6 years old, and I'm going to the first grade.
Thank you, Harry. And I'm Meredith McGee, chair of Community Library, Mississippi. And I hope everybody had a wonderful.
I'm Lynette Stafford, Greenville.
Mary Hardy, Greenville.
Dr. Janice Neal Vincent, Madison.
Vicki Jenkins, co-chair of the Community Library of Mississippi.
Okay, so who wants to read first?
I'll read first.
Okay, so Lynette and then Mary.
Harry, when do you want to read? You want to take us out? Or you want to read early?
Out.
Okay. Well, today I got
out.
He said he want to take us out.
Oh, you gonna be last? You gonna be able to hang in there that long? Okay, well, I need you to ask a question of the reader. Can you ask the reader one question? Each reader? We would like to hear a question from a 6-year-old. Can you do that, Harry?
So.
Very good. Cooking with coffee.
So this morning, I was looking for something this morning, and I was out in there where we keep the lawnmower. And there was a couple of milk crates in there, and I saw them the other day, and they had books in them. So I didn't pay any attention. So today I went out there looking for something, and I saw books yesterday. So I looked to see what was in there. I had books in there I had forgotten about. They're discards from the library. So you go to the library, you go to your local library, you can get discards. They may charge you a dime or a quarter. They may say take as many as you like. So I found a whole stack of books I had forgotten about. So I'm going to read today from my pile that I found this morning. We're going to read about Benji. And it's by Joanne. You know, I'm new with these names. I don't want to say it. Joanne. And I'm just excited. It's a nice book. So here's the author and the illustrator. And this book, this is the 10th printing, and the copyright of this book is 1964. 1960. Nice hardback book. Okay. Well, Benji, are you going to sleep all day? Granny called. Benji opened his eyes and remembered. It was Sunday, so he couldn't sleep late. He sat up and looked out the window to see what day it was. Mrs. Atkins was leaning out of the window across the courtyard from him. She was putting her bedclothes on the windowsill to air them. Hello, Benji, she called. Benji looked away and pretended not to hear. He didn't like to talk to people. He didn't know why, but he just did. So this is Benji and Mrs. Atkins. Go and get washed, Granny told him. Do I have to, Benji asked. He didn't wait for an answer. He knew the answer. Granny had scrubbed him last night, but still he had to wash some more as he woke up. Benji peeked out into the hallway. There was nobody there for him to have to talk to. He ran down the hall to the washroom, and then he ran back to the room where he and Granny lived. He hurried into his Sunday clothes and got out his brown crayon and colored up the scuffs on his shoes. At last, they were ready, except for Granny's earrings. She always put them on just before they set out for church. She fixed them on now, and they jiggled and joggled as she moved and seemed to catch on fire when the light hit them. There now, Benji, she said, looking in the mirror. Aren't I the prettiest lady you ever saw in your life? You sure are, Granny, Benji said. So Benji lives in a place where it doesn't have a bathroom, and it's a shared bathroom in an apartment. So they have a room, and then they go down the hall to use the bathroom. You have bathrooms in your house, don't you, Henry? Harry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is a different type of living arrangement. And this is when Granny is getting herself ready, putting herself up to go to church, putting on her beautiful earrings. They set off down the stairs and down the stairs and down the stairs from the 4th floor to the sidewalk. Mr. Atkins and some other neighbors were sitting on the stoop. They said hello to Granny. Mr. Atkins said, "Where's Benji? I thought I saw him with you." "Oh, he's around me somewhere," Granny said. "That boy is the shyest boy I ever saw." As they walked down the street, Granny said, "Benji, you're in school in a few weeks. Do you think Granny is going to school with you every day to do your talking for you?" "I can't sit in those little chairs they use, Benji. I sit in one of those chairs and it will bust to pieces and I'd be on the floor." They both started laughing at that, and Granny forgot about the scolding. So there's Benji hiding behind Grandma. He don't like to talk to people. You know, he doesn't like to talk to people. In church, Granny said, "Sit up, Benji. Don't kick your heels, Benji." Benji stopped it wiggling. She never yelled in church. She just whispered right in Benji's ear, and that was worse. After church, they stopped at the bakery as they always did. Benji liked to look at all the things in the cases, but every Sunday he wanted the same thing: a black and white cookie, a Hughes cookie, frosted half with chocolate and half with vanilla. He watched the bakery lady pick up his cookie with a piece of paper and put it in the bag. Then she picked up an apple turnover the same way for Granny and put it in the bag. She frowned because they were buying so little. Benji liked the bakery and the bakery, but he was afraid of the bakery lady. So far the day had been like every other Sunday. It was when they were nearly home that things were different. The awful thing happened. They had to come back at 2:15 to find out what happened. But this is Benji and Granny at the bakery.
So Lynette,
So we'll come back and find out what happened.
so this was a black author and a black illustrator?
I have not researched the author or the illustrator, because I really saw the book just a little bit ago, right when I was getting ready to come and get it up. So I have not researched them. But this is a black character in the black neighborhood. Yes.
That's what I thought.
And the book is, like what I told you, 1964. So I have to do a little, but I'll be able to tell you something by 2:15. I just didn't get time this morning.
And who is the author? Who is the author?
Her name is Joanne M. What's it? And then we show the illustrator. The illustrator.
And why was she so quiet speaking? Why did she speak so quietly?
Talking about the character in the book?
Yeah, why she speak so quiet?
His name is Benji. He's shy.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is the illustrator.
Okay.
Okay, Harry, you got a question?
No, ma'am.
Benji just didn't like to talk to people. He said he didn't know why, but he just didn't like to talk to people.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the fact that there was a illustrated children book with black characters in 1964, because even years ago it was only a small percent of children book. That's the 5% with black characters in this age. So I just was, I was very, very happy to. That book was in 1964. That was very good to see.
So did it appear that the
This was
graphic,
this was the ma'am.
did it appear as if there was pencil art? Was it pencil art?
Yes, it could have been watercolor. Look at the
Yeah.
and this is the 10th printing. So
So it looks like
I'm gonna do a little
watercolor.
research before we come. Right, that's what it looks like, watercolor. Right, so I'm gonna do a little research and be able to tell you all something. That hope to be able to tell you something at 2:15. So you know this is a gem to me. Can't wait to sit down and share this with Trey.
Oh, and this is what I found. Y'all see this for 2:15. I'm not gonna read this time. Vivian, Lewis, Charles Evans on the cover of the Jackson Evans. I want to see what they had to write about them.
Can I get you to give me a copy of? Can I get you to give me a copy of that?
Of this, I can try to get you a.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, see, I subscribe to them. That's how I get my copy. I subscribe to the Jackson Evans.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Let's see. But I'll try to see if I can find you a copy. I have to find out what it's.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. So Mary, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
All right, now this is for Harry. Praise Harry. It's entitled
Yeah, I thought about Harriet when I read this book.
Lunchbox.
Hold it up for me so I can see it. I'm gonna type.
Oh,
it
it's just it's a poem.
Oh, and who wrote the poem? What's the name of the poem?
Lunchbox Love Note by Ken Nesbitt.
Okay. Okay.
Lunchbox Love Note. Inside my lunch, to my surprise, a perfect heart-shaped love note lies. The outside says, will you be mine? And will you be my Valentine? I take it out and wonder who would want to tell me I love you. Perhaps a girl who's much too shy to hand it to me eye to eye. Or maybe it was sweetly penned in private by a secret friend who found my lunchbox sitting by and slid the note in on the sly. Oh, I'd be thrilled if it were Joe, the cute little one in the second row. Or could it be from Jennifer? Has she found out I'm sweet on her? My mind's a buzz, my shoulders tense. I need no more of this suspense. My stomach's lurching in my throat. I open up my little note. Then wham, as if it were a bomb. Inside it reads, I love you, Mom. That's
Very nice. That was very nice.
That's so special.
It sure was.
and you know, I had a group
So
of
cute.
a group of I had a set of twins in my class once, and they brought their lunch in a lunch box, and it would always have a note from their mom, and they would have a cloth napkin. And it was always my pleasure to sit next to them because I wanted to know, I wanted to help them read that note that they got from their mom daily.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's so special.
Thank you.
Did you hear that, Helen?
Yes, ma'am.
You ever write notes to your mother and father?
No, ma'am.
Oh, well, you gotta try it because it seems like that's a special thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I hope they kept those notes, Mary.
They kept the notes. I didn't, I mean, I have plenty of little notes around here that my students have written, but I didn't keep those notes.
My sister.
No, I'm saying I'm like I hope they kept their. I hope the twins kept the notes from their mom.
Yeah, they probably kept them.
Yeah, I keep
My sister
that's
was
real sweet.
a teacher. She kept all of the art drawings that her students drew to her, like on the elementary level. She just has a huge collection of drawing. It would turn out to be a good book, but she had to get permission from a whole bunch of mamas and daddies.
That's right.
Okay,
Well,
so,
I kept my notes all through the years. I kept my little notes and pictures and because they're your babies. That's sweet.
Yeah. So
All your babies.
we got 2 more readers. I mean 3 more. Janice and Vic. Which one of y'all gonna go next? Cause Henry, you going last? Or you want to go now?
Last.
You gonna go last? Okay, you gonna be able to listen this time and ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Promise, pinky fingers. Hold up your pinky fingers. Go ahead. All right.
Well, I can read my short story, Thank You, Ma'am, by Langston Hughes. I have made it into an excerpt.
Okay.
She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but hammer and nails. It had a long strap, and she carried a slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and she was walking alone when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with the single tug the boy gave it from behind, but the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance. So the boy fell on his back on the sidewalk and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue jeaned sitter. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his shirt front, and shook him until his teeth rattled. "Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." She still held him, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. "Now, ain't you ashamed of yourself?" The boy said, "Yes'm." "What did you want to do that for?" "I didn't aim to." "You a lie." By that time, 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. "If I turn you loose, will you run?" asked the woman. "Yes'm," said the boy. "Then I won't turn you loose." "I'm very sorry, lady." "I'm sorry," whispered the boy. "Ain't you got nobody home to tell you to wash your face?" "No," said the boy. "Then it will get washed this evening," she said, starting up the street, dragging the frightened boy behind her. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail and willow-wild in tennis shoes and blue jeans. "You ought to be my son. I would tell you, I would teach you right from wrong. Least I can do right now is to wash your face. Are you hungry?" "No," said the being dragged boy. "I just want you to turn me loose. When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones." Sweat popped out on the boy's face and he began to struggle. Mrs. Jones stopped, jerked him, and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to her door, she dragged the boy inside, down a hall, and into a large kitchenette, furnished room at the rear of the house. She switched on the light and left the door open. She said, "What is your name?" "Roger," answered the boy. "Then, Roger, you go to that sink and wash your face." Whereupon she turned him loose at last. "You gonna take me to jail?" asked the boy, bending over the sink. "Not with that face. I would not take you nowhere. Maybe you ain't been to your supper. Maybe you ain't had your supper, late as it is, like I haven't had mine." "There's nobody home at my house," said the boy. "Then we'll eat," said the woman. "I believe you're hungry or been hungry to try to snatch my pocketbook." "I wanted a pair of blue suede shoes," said the boy. "Well, you didn't have to snatch my pocketbook to get some suede shoes," said Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones. "You could have asked me." "Ma'am," after he had dried his face and not knowing what else to do, dried it again, the boy turned around wondering what next to do. The door was open. He could make a dash for it down the hall. He could run, 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 run. The woman was sitting on the daybed. After a while, she said, "I were young once, and I wanted things I could not get." The boy's mouth opened. Then he frowned, but not knowing he frowned. Silence. "I have done things too, which I would not tell you, son, neither tell God if he didn't already know. So you sit down while I fix something to eat. You might run that comb through your hair so you will look presentable." The woman did not watch the boy to see if he was going to run now, nor did she watch her purse, which she left behind her on the daybed. But the boy took care to sit on the far side of the room where he thought she could easily see him out of the corner of her eye if she wanted to. He did not trust the woman not to trust him, and he did not want to be mistrusted now. The woman heated some lima beans and ham she had in the ice box, made cocoa, and set the table. As they ate, she told him about her job in a hotel beauty shop that stayed open late, what the work was like, and how all kinds of women came in and out, blondes, redheads, and Spanish. Then she cut him a half of her 10-cent cake. "Eat some more, son," she said. When they were finished eating, she got up and said, "Now here, take this $10 and buy yourself some blue suede shoes. And next time, do not make the mistake of latching onto my pocketbook, nor nobody else's, because shoes come by devilish like that will burn your feet. I got to get my rest now." She led him down the hall to the front door and opened it. "Good night. Behave yourself, boy," she said, looking out into the street. The boy wanted to say something else other than "Thank you, ma'am," to Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones, but he couldn't do so as he turned at the barren stoop and looked back at the large woman in the door. He barely managed to say "Thank you" before she shut the door, and he never saw her again.
That is a wonderful story.
Hit Trey.
Enjoy that. I always enjoy that one.
Wow. Harry, I know you got a question about that one.
I want to go.
What's your question, Harry?
Okay.
Where did the boy come from?
He just appeared when she was walking home
You don't want to do something today?
late at night.
Okay.
Just appeared and tried to snatch her purse off her shoulder. Came out of nowhere in the neighborhood. Did you get what I was saying, Harry?
Yes,
So I take it that they were both walking down the street. And the boy
Yes. Mhm.
saw this lady with her purse on her shoulder. And he decided he was gonna snatch her purse and take her money out of there so he could go buy some shoes. It turns out that this lady, instead of calling the police or getting into a fight with him, she took him home, washed his face, fed him, and then even then he was trying to run. But he didn't run. At the end, she gave him the $10 so he could buy some shoes. I think she taught him a wonderful lessons. If we could had people like her in our village, we wouldn't have. It would probably prevent some people from actually ending up in juvenile delinquency or wherever. That is just a great story, and it was written probably in the 40s, huh, or 30s, 1930s.
Well, Langston Hughes, it might have been written somewhere around that time, but he wrote so much. He wrote so much, and I don't know the exact time when he wrote it because I pulled it up from the internet, but I remember this story from way back when. Thank you, ma'am. And the moral lesson that it had. I admire the lady because she confronted him head on, and she didn't give him a chance to attack her. She was a big woman, and she caught him quickly, and she just dragged him on home, and she gave him a good moral lesson, and then let him know in the process that she realized that he may be hungry, which was why he was doing what he was doing out there, being vindictive, trying to take advantage of the old woman. So the old woman taught him a lesson, and I guess it's like what I was telling you some time ago about how disrespectful I was to the teacher I did not know when I was out there with the children at Linear High School. But I saw that woman's face forever. It was just like she would, whenever I would think to do something, her face would come to me. Her name would come to me. And I just went on. And so it's like that with this boy. She taught him a great lesson for life. He never saw her again, but he remembered the moment. And he remembered her kindness. Even when he was asking her, "Are you going to take me to jail?" He was surprised to know that the woman wasn't thinking about taking him to jail, but trying to help him. And the blue suede shoes, what I thought about was Elvis Presley. I don't know what Hughes had on his mind, but that's what came to my mind. Don't step on my blue suede shoes.
She showed him grace and mercy. She showed him grace and mercy. That was a better lesson than if the police had picked him up. If she had clowned him, right. She really showed him. She really did.
Yeah.
So
Yes, she did.
yeah, who did the thank you, ma'am? Was the thank you, ma'am coming from the boy?
Yes, it was coming from the boy, and he was so shocked. The woman had frightened him so he could barely get it out.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Wow. And he came up during a time when we had a village where older people felt obligated to discipline young people, which is not that kind of village anymore. I heard a young woman say, "You get yours and I'll get mine." But when I was coming up, my friends, friends and neighbors' parents disciplined us. If my mother was not at home and we were doing something, they got on our behind. So it would straighten us out. But in this day and age, and at that time, it's a wonderful thing that there were people in people's village that could give a lesson like that. That was a wonderful lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a different
Little
time
girls
period.
said,
We had more love. We had more love then. If I got a whipping by the neighbor reported me to my parents, I got another whipping.
That's right.
So it was that type. But now we hear people say, "You better not bother my child. You better not bother my child. That's my child. That's my child."
Yeah.
I remember hearing a little girl say, she was a little girl at the time. She's a mom now. And I remember her saying, Lynn seeing you doing it, talking about me, it's just like your mama seeing you doing it. And I said, well, okay. I said it to myself. I said, okay, then they got it. This was written in 1958, written and published in 1958.
1958.
And it was redone. I see what you're saying. That's good to know. Okay, so Vicky, what you got?
We still learning the history of the war. We're on the Indian Wars now, and that is the great respect for the Black soldiers. They were more so recognized at that time. After the Civil War.
Now tell me, we're still reading the book Black Soldier.
Right, Black soldiers.
History of Black Soldier. Okay.
The Indian Wars were a series of campaigns fought in the western frontier between the U.S. Army and the Indians from 1865 to 1898. The Indians were constitutional conflict, continuous in conflict, had occurred between the white man and the Indians, beginning with the first white settlement in America. The Black soldiers' participation in the Indian War was marked by excellence that was seldom recognized. At the end of the Civil War, 1866, Congress enacted a legislation providing for an experiment using Black soldiers as part of the regular army. The 6 Black regiments, pardon me? The 6 Black regiments authorized by Congress at the end of the Civil War, composed of 2 regiments of cavalry and 4 regiments of infantry. The units were later designated as the 9th and 10th Cavalries and the 38th, 39th, 40th, and 41st Infantries. The Black units were organized, aimed at placed under the command of white officers between the summer of 1866 and 67. The 2 Cavalry regiment was moved to the West Texas and Kansas frontier in the spring and the summer of 67. In 69, the U.S. Army organized and merged the 4 infantry regiments and 2 regiments, the 24th, 25th regiments. Both were initially assigned to the Texas frontier. 1866, Chaplain Allensworth, a Black minister, became the first Black officer to be assigned to the 24th Infantry Regiment. During the Indian War, the first action between the Black soldiers and the Indians took place in Fort Hays, Kansas, 1867. The first Black unit protected the workers of the Kansas Pacific Railroad and then engaged 300 Cheyenne warriors. During the Indian War, 1/5 of the U.S. Army soldiers assigned to the Western frontier were Black. The most famous Black units assigned to the Western frontier of the 9th and 10th Cavalry armies were called Buffalo Soldiers by the Indians. During the Indian Wars, the name Buffalo Soldiers were bestowed on the Black soldiers by the Indians out of respect and fear. In organizing for Black infantries, difficulties were incurred in the procurement of the experienced officers. Many white soldiers refused to serve with Black soldiers. One such officer who refused in command was General George A. Custer. The first black graduate of U.S. Lieutenant Henry O. Flipper became the first black officer to be assigned to the 10th Cavalry Regiment during the Indian War. During the Indian War, the worst defeat of the U.S. Army unit by the Indians was incurred in the Battle of Little Bighorn, where General Custer and all of his men were killed. Only soldier that was not scalped by the Indians was that on the battle was a black Indian scout named Isaiah Dorman. During the Indian War, 17 black soldiers were awarded the Medal of Honor, America's highest decoration of the bravery. 11 of the members of the 9th and 10th Infantries were Special Indian Scouts, and 3 were members of the 24th Infantry Regiment. Black soldiers strung and secured telegraph wires and marked water holes of the wagon trains. Black soldiers provide security for wagon trains and stagecoaches and railroad crews. Black soldiers in 1877 were used to protect government property during the Lincoln County War. The black soldiers were assigned missions of prevention of attempts of the boomers to colonize the Indian Territory in 1879. Black soldiers performed station guards and escorts and duties for stage lines, provided disaster relief for soldiers of Dakota Territory in 1881. Black soldiers performed such duties as Indian Scouts of the U.S. Army along with Buffalo Bill Cody, Wild Bill Hickok. The 2 black soldiers were awarded Congressional Medals of Honor. Black soldiers were responsible for maintaining law and order in many of the Western frontier. The Surgeon General of the U.S. Army in his annual report in 1889 stated that four of the black regiments had the absence of excessive drinking and alcoholism, which were 2 major Army problems during that period. The Secretary of War in 1889 paid tribute to the record of the black soldiers for their service during the Indian War by stating, for the record, for good services by the members of the 4 black regiments. During the Indian War, the black soldiers incurred prejudice and whites inside and out of the Army. The most notable battles of the Army regiments took part in Battle of Kickapoo, Spring, Texas, Florida Mountain, New Mexico, Los Alamos Canyon in New Mexico, Turalo, New Mexico, Caruso Canyon, New Mexico, and Chilajo Negro Mountains in Mexico. Lieutenant John Alexander became the 2nd black to graduate from the U.S. West Point in 1887. Lieutenant Charles Young became the 3rd black to graduate from West Point in 1889. Both officers were assigned to the 10th Cavalry, the Buffalo Soldiers. The effects of the Indian War on the black soldiers, many black soldiers completing their enlistment in U.S. Army remained on the frontier. In spite of the obvious prejudice and shortcomings of the Army, the Army gave black men a measure of human dignity, worth a few institutions of the black society of that period could offer. The end of the war in 1880 and the beginning of the War of 1890s, the civil rights of the black citizens were being circumvented by legal and legislative mechanisms and state of the federal levels. Lieutenant Flipper, the first Black graduate from the West Point, became the civil mining engineer of the Western frontier. He also served as mining consultants with legal specialists and linguists of several American politicians, but later the government, after being discharged by the U.S. Army for alleged offenses, the first Black regiment became outstanding record, became 4 of the Black units to be alerted for the action at the beginning of the Spanish-American War. Based on the regiment record of the 4 Black units of the U.S. Congress, authorized by formation of additional Black units beginning in the Spanish-American War, the Indian War. I think the Black soldiers had more recognition for the Black soldiers during the Indian War. At that time, they were given more recognition and more respect, and given more awards.
Was that called the Spanish-American War?
Well, that was the first one. That was the Indian War. The Spanish-American War began after the Indian War.
What was the name of the Indian War that ended in 1880?
The Indian War was the Indian War. That was that's what it was called.
The Indian War. So there were the Buffalo Soldiers in Texas helped America fight who? Which Indians? The Cheyennes?
The Cheyenne warriors that the soldiers did engage in the war of the Little Bighorn.
Okay, so tell me, did the Cheyenne Indians fight with America against Bighorn, or was the Cheyenne Bighorn the chief of the Cheyennes?
The Bighorn was the combat. That was where the Indians did the greatest defeat of the American soldiers, of the American army, was at the Battle of Little Bighorn. That was where that was the Battle of Little Bighorn. That's where George Custer lost, and he was scalped, and all of his unit was killed during the Battle of Little Bighorn. The Buffalo Soldiers was the famous Black units of the Western frontier. They were called the Little Bighorn, and the Indians called them Little Bighorns because Buffalo Soldiers, rather. The Indians called the 9th and 10th Cavalry Regiments Buffalo Soldiers. They were called Buffalo Soldiers, which was bestowed on them by the Indians out of respect and fear. There was really not a battle between them, just the Indians just called them Buffalo Soldiers.
Because they were good.
The Indians just called, pardon me?
The Indians called the Black soldiers. The Black means Buffalo soldiers, because they respected the buffalo. But I was just I was trying to be clear. So you're saying that the Indians beat America and scalped one of our generals in this war that ended in 1880. Is that what you were telling them?
Yeah, in that war of that Indian War, the Indians of the greatest battle, which was the defeat of the American War, was the Battle of Little Bighorn, where the Indians killed George Custer and killed all of the soldiers in his unit of that 10th Cavalry, and they were scalped. That was the Battle of Little Bighorn. That was the battle where the Indians defeated the army of the U.S. Army.
Okay, so now that's what I was trying to understand. I want to be clear. Okay, I'm clear about this. The Indians beat Custer and killed everybody in his cavalry in the U.S. Army.
Right.
And I thought the Buffalo Soldiers was fighting with him, but they survived. But was they helping him?
None of that there were black soldiers in his unit, but the Indians did not call the soldiers in Custer's army Buffalo Soldiers. They would not call Buffalo Soldiers till after the war on the Little Bighorn. All of the soldiers with George Custer was killed at that time, and the Indians killed them. All of
They
the
were
soldiers
white.
Custer. Pardon me?
Custer's soldiers were white.
And they were all killed.
I
And
know,
that-
but then you mentioned the Buffalo Soldiers. So that's why the Buffalo Soldiers fought with Custer or they didn't. Or they came after Custer.
The Buffalo Soldiers, their name was bestowed on them by the Indians. It was not out of any particular war or battle. It was just said the Indians gave the black soldiers the Buffalo Soldiers. And it was not after any particular war or battle. It was just the Indians recognized the black soldiers and named them the Buffalo Soldiers.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
And they called them the Buffalo Soldiers
because the Indians it was all doing all these different campaigns, because it was several campaigns, between the blacks and whites since the first time that the blacks came and tried to colonize. And the Indians, it was not a particular battle or conflict. The Indians the Indians named the black soldiers Buffalo Soldiers, and it was one of several conflicts, but it was not one particular battle itself that the Indians named black soldiers Buffalo Soldiers. And it doesn't report which one of the conflicts, if there was one, for the Indians to name the black soldiers the Buffalo Soldiers, but it was the Indians that called them the Buffalo Soldiers. And I know I know it does not specify which one. I'm sure it was one, but it does not specify here which battle the Indians named the black soldiers Buffalo Soldiers.
Okay, well, very good. Vicky, we learned so much. Oh, Lynette has a question.
Yes.
When I heard you say the 24th Infantry Regiment, I had to look up to see if that was the beginning of the 24th Infantry Division. I was in the 24th Infantry Division. No, these are two totally different things, but I did have to look that up.
Yes, that was two totally different things. It was two totally different things, because
no, what I'm saying, there was a regiment. Okay, I was in the 24th Infantry Division when I was in the military. That was one of my assignments. So when I heard you say the 24th Infantry Regiment, I just wanted to know. I had to look up to see if the 24th Infantry Division was an offshoot from the regiment. And the regiment, they were in Kansas, and I was in Georgia. And I just read that they deactivated that unit. Then they reactivated that unit back over in Tampa. So that was some interesting history for me.
Yes.
Okay, so very good.
Yes.
And the Buffalo Soldiers were members of the 10th Cavalry Regiment.
Yes, the 9th and 10th Cavalry Regiments. They were called the Buffalo Soldiers. Yes.
Well, Lynette, did you look up and find out when they fought? What war they fought in? Did they fight with Custer or not?
The
Buffalo.
They said, okay, this is what this. Go ahead, Vicky.
What is written by the Buffalo Soldiers was that, let me say, during the Indian War, the first action between black soldiers and Indians took place at Fort Hays, Kansas, September 1867. 40 Black soldiers on duty for protecting the workers of the Kansas Pacific Railroad engaged 300 Cheyenne warriors. During the Indian War, 1/5 of the soldiers assigned by the Western Frontier were Black. The most famous Black units assigned to the Western Frontier were the 9th and 10th Cavalry Regiments. They were called Buffalo Soldiers by the Indians. During the Indian Wars, the name Buffalo Soldiers were bestowed on the Black soldiers by the Indians in respect and fear. It was just during the war, all the Black soldiers, most of the Black soldiers were assigned to the Western Frontier.
Now I'm cleared up because you said that the war ended in 1880. Cluster that his got scalped and all of the white soldiers with him got killed. So the Buffalo Soldiers was in was 1886, 6 years later. That's what I was confused about. Now I'm cleared up about it. Thank you so much. Now, Lynette, you did some research. What did you find out about it?
I didn't do a whole lot of reading, so I can't really speak on it. I'm gonna do a little bit more. I had heard, I don't know this, I had to do a little reading, that one reason that they were called the Buffalo Soldier was because of the hair, the texture of the hair, and because they were fierce. So I don't know that. I had to go back and look.
Right, because they were Black Indians, from Texas. So I think that's one reason. Plus they were fierce. You know, even African men were.
Right.
That was
right.
Yeah. So I
so named the Black soldiers Buffalo Soldiers out of respect for the Black soldiers and out of the fear of the Black soldiers.
Well, she said that in her research, Vicky, that she heard also that they respected them and called them that also because of the texture of their hair. Like in our family, some of the Indians, they were dark, but they had long, stringy hair like the other Indians, but they were dark. And then some people historically called them Black Indians, like the Seminoles. They had a different texture of hair than my hair.
That was something. That was something I had heard, but that's not something I read today. Today, all I read was about the regiment and the division, and I saw that they're part of the 9th and the 10th. I didn't read today about the hair, but I want to thank Vicky for making me want to go back and do a little more reading and do a little more research about the Buffalo Soldiers. I thank you.
Vicky has taken us to school on Black soldiers. She sure has. Okay, well, Harry, did you learn anything about the Black soldiers? You said you did?
Yes, Mom.
What did you learn?
That they're called Buffalo Soldiers. That's pretty much it.
Okay, very good. So you ready to read your book and take us home?
Yes, Mom.
Okay, and you gonna close us out?
Yes, Mom.
Okay, what you got? I'm gonna type it in the chat. What you reading
Big monkey,
today?
little monkey.
Big monkey, little monkey. Oh man, I can't wait to hear that.
Big monkey, little monkey.
Big monkey cannot, little monkey cannot. Look, it is the sun. Big monkey can see a banana. Can big monkey have it? Big monkey can sit. Big monkey can have a banana. Look in the leaves. Can the little monkey see it? That little monkey is it. Look in the leaves. Look in the bush. Look in the trees. Look, bug. Look, monkey can have a bug. A sip, a sip. Look, it is the moon. Little monkey and big monkey have a nest. The nest is in the trees. And little monkey, little monkey cannot, big monkey cannot. The end.
Is that it?
So,
Okay, can you give us a summary of the book?
and on the back it says level 3 reader.
Ooh.
Good
What does
job.
level 3 mean? That means third
Yeah.
grade?
Wow.
What does level 3 mean, y'all teachers? What does level 3 mean?
I don't know.
Now I'm asking the teachers.
Is it
Mary,
I don't know, is it an AR book?
Harry, is it an AR book? I'm Mary teaches elementary school. I'm trying to see what does that mean.
I don't know what the AR book is.
Accelerate. It's referred to accelerated readers. I'm not sure what level that.
He said it
He
was a
may
level.
not, and in kindergarten, he may not know that.
He
Yeah.
said it was a level 3 book he was reading.
Yeah, that's probably still a kindergarten or pre-kindergarten book. This is
Level
like,
3.
yeah, it's illustrated with just a few lines on it, right? One line on a page.
Ma'am?
Is it just one line on a page with an illustration? Hold it up.
ma'am.
Hold it up.
It's by those two.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So give us your
Very
summary,
good.
Harry.
Oh, first, I woke up. Little monkey woke up and big monkey woke up. They looked at the sun. Big monkey saw a banana. Big monkey he took the banana and ate it. And big monkey told little monkey to look in the leaves. And while little monkey was looking in the leaves, big monkey tagged him. And then they said, look in the leaves, look in the bush. And they said, look in the trees, look bugs. The monkey can have a bug. And then they had a sip of water. And they said, and then the story says, a sip, a sip. And then they said, look, it is the moon. And then little monkey and big monkey have a nest in the trees. The nest is in the trees, they said. And then the story said, and little monkey hits. Little monkey and big monkey can nap. That's it.
Okay, then. Well, thanks a lot.
You gone to the zoo?
No, ma'am, I
Have
can't.
you gone to the zoo yet? Okay, well, you gonna like when you go, because you like you.
Yeah. He has a lot of books about animals. Okay,
You
so
like animals, Harry?
Yes, ma'am, I have a collection of 6 books about animals and more.
Okay.
So you like
This
Okay.
is one. And this is one.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe you'll get a chance to go to the zoo. Well, I guess maybe next year, I guess. We'll all be going.
Yeah. Yeah, we
I
want to
can't go
go.
because of
And
coronavirus.
we have a train here at the Jackson Zoo.
Yeah, I've been to the Jackson Zoo.
Oh yeah, you rode the train?
No, we didn't ride the train, but we been, and I saw the train. I don't think we rode the train. Well, maybe we did. I don't know. It's been a long time. I remember seeing the train. Maybe we did ride the train.
Okay,
You know what? Yes, we did. We did. Yes, we did.
Hey, William, you done made it at the tail end, so you can save your reading for 2:15 if you can come. But thank you for stopping by.
Hey,
Yeah, I had my eyes checked today at the clinic up in Madison, you know, Jackson Eye Associates.
What they say? Everything good?
They said I had 20/20 vision.
Ooh, good. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, especially at my age, that 20/20 is not bad, you know.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. All right. Well, Harry was just gonna take us out of here, William, but you gonna be able to come back at 2:15?
2:15,
Okay, then, because I'm reading at 2:15. I'm saving mine to the end. Okay, Harry, you ready to take us out of here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you for attending this day 14 Zoom. I hope you can attend the next Zoom on the evening session. Thank you for attending this Zoom.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
You guys at
Thank you,
2:15.
Harry. Thank you.
huh?
Fabulous job, baby. Fabulous job.
I gotta put my claps up.
All right, see you all at 2:15. Have a good one.
All right, see you later.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.